Easy rider on the highway.
Happy almost fall. So today I wanted to talk about how I do my inspiration boards for the new season or for a new collection. I call them vision boards or mood boards, and I like to create these for each season. I do one for my life and one for my studio practice. I recently did my fall mood boards, and initially I was feeling kind of like, well, do I really need to make these? I kind of already know there's going to be burgundy, there's going to be a moody feel, because it's not just about like the colors literally, but it's also about the feel and the energy and the emotion behind it. And I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do last year, which was kind of like a dark fall, dark academia vibes, but I didn't end up making a fall collection. And so I just thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just do that. I don't even need to make mood boards right now. I can just jump into painting because I was feeling eager to just start creating. However, I did take the time to do it on Sunday, and I just started the process, and it just took me like 2 days in between other things, and I really love how they came out. So I thought I would share them. I haven't started the fall collection yet, but that will be coming. And beyond the fall collection, I have some other like bigger changes that I'm not quite finished with. I'm sort of letting that idea and vision kind of breathe over the next season or so before I actually officially put it out. But I'm very excited, and it's bringing a lot of energy to my creativity in general. Just a side note, as somebody who is creative, and if you have a creative practice of some sort, you might know what I mean, but there are seasons where I get a lot of ideas and I have to sort of pick and choose what to put out when, and I make like a rough plan over the season. Okay, this is what I want to do and when, and then some days I wake up and I'm like, no, I want to work on that other thing. And so it's just like this ebb and flow of creative energy and deciding what I want to put out when. And it can be a little bit challenging until you sort of get the hang of how to do that and to not chase every rabbit. Like that saying, somebody who chases 2 rabbits gets none, or something like that. So I kind of see it as more like tending to a garden. You know, I focus on this over here a little bit, and then I go over here and focus on that, and then this, but then I have to know when to focus to like bring something to completion, because I don't like that feeling of kind of missing the time frame and the energy of what I initially wanted to put out when, and then it kind of goes by, and then I'm like, oh, I wish I had put that out, and now kind of the energy behind it is dying. So if you know, you know. But anyway, back to the vision boards. Basically the process that I do, I'm going to share about that and how I do it, and sort of then show you how I do it. But basically I start in Pinterest. I create a secret board, and I just start pinning like all kinds of images of color palettes. And for this one, it was like moody photos of like women in cafes and outfits, and seasonal photos, and all kinds of things just to get the process going. And at first it feels kind of like, well, I don't know, let me put this here, let me put that. And then it really grows over time. And so I like to do it throughout one day and kind of into the next, and allow that inspiration to kind of come and go, and like take breaks on it. It's not a rush to finish or anything like that. I did surprise myself even with my life board. Was different than I thought it would be. I thought it would be all about like a really cozy home aesthetic and baking and things like that, but it actually was surprising me that I was more gravitated towards being in a cafe, reading in public, being out and about, doing things. And so you'll see when I show it, but I surprised myself of the energy that I'm wanting to step into this fall. So I look at things like makeup looks and a lot of clothing. Fashion can really inspire me. Different patterns, home looks like interior design photos, jewelry, shots in nature, even something like nail polish. And so basically I just kind of pin everything I can think of. And then I start dragging the images onto my desktop and kind of anything I think I might want to use. And then I kind of like narrow it down. And then I have 2 templates on Canva that I use that I've created. And I make one for my studio and one for my life. So the life one might be more personal in nature. There's going to be, you know, kind of like personal style on there, cozy hobbies, places I might want to visit, just kind of the overall mood and vibe that I'm looking for going into the season. And then the studio one, though not completely literal, might have sort of the energy I'm wanting to bring into the studio through images, color palettes, patterns, jewelry, textiles, anything that's gonna maybe different, like other art forms like ceramics that have certain kinds of marks, pictures of nature, things that I want to bring into my process. And in doing this, I actually realized a couple of things that I want to try. In particular, I was very drawn to photos of light coming in through a window and casting a shadow of plants like into the home or behind a curtain in like forest green colors and mustard colors. And so that's something that I want to try process-wise, is letting light come in, casting a shadow on my canvas and doing some tracing of that and kind of see where that goes as a painting. I thought that would be really cool. Another thing that doing this made me realize is I would like to try painting with nature, because I was seeing a lot of patterns on textiles and things like that. And so bringing in things like pine cones, maybe shells like in the summertime, leaves, twigs, branches, flower petals, things like that, and using that to actually create the art is another thing that I want to try and that made me aware of while I was doing this process. So basically I will pick my favorite images in kind of like a well-rounded way. I've been doing this for many seasons now, so it's pretty clear like sort of what will go where. It might take me a little while to get it exactly how I want it. And then I save the boards onto my computer, and this time I actually had it printed out at Staples on some cardstock. I have printed it at home before, but I went to Staples recently for printing my market prints and they did a good job, and I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna take it to that extra level of importance and print them out sort of professionally, and I really like how they came out. So in prior seasons I had a smaller cork board that I did my spring mood board on, but now I have a much bigger board. And so I'm going to take that new giant cork board and put the vision boards on there, and then I'm also going to add in some other things that I have in the studio. So I have things like collage paper, fabrics, ribbon, yarn, different things around the studio, maybe even some nature. And I'm going to create a collage on the cork board that I can look at when I'm actually creating my collection. And so I'm going to bring you along on that process as well. So I really am looking forward to getting that done, and I will show you how I do it and how it comes along. And I hope that you can pull some inspiration from this process that I use. And you know, you can do it with magazines, you can do it with sketching, you can do your own little mini paintings and put them up, photographs, tickets from something that you went to. You know, there's so many little bits and pieces that you can find in life to put on your mood board that have a significance to you. I'm really enjoying this process of being a little more intentional with my collections. In prior years, I was very about the intuitive process, and I still am. I still have those sessions where I show up like, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. I'm just gonna show up and I'm gonna follow my process, and I'm gonna choose what colors I wanna choose. And it's very therapeutic to do it that way, and I still make time to do that for myself. And some paintings that I do that way also come out really amazing. And some paintings are more just for therapy, and I may paint over them, they go in the back of my studio, and that's completely fine. And I'm realizing though that I also am enjoying the challenge of being a little more intentional in my design, in my color palette, trying out new processes, because although it took me a long time to be comfortable with my process and really create it and make it my own, and I can rely upon it, and that's great. But I think it's also great to like challenge yourself and step out of the box, and it can be a little bit off-putting at times to quote unquote waste a session, like not producing something or not creating something to sell or whatever it is. There's kind of that balance as a creative business owner between needing time for your creativity personally as an artist, and then also wanting to get a collection out or, you know, have something to show for your time in the studio, which is also valuable and satisfying in its own way. So I'm just realizing I think it's good to have time for both. It's good to allow those times where you're just being creative, you're just having fun, maybe you're using paper, maybe you're using an old canvas, that's my dog, and kind of allowing for both, but then also allowing myself to be more intentional and create kind of a more cohesive color palette for the season, because I think that's going to be really enjoyable as well. So I look forward to starting the collection, and I can't wait to see how the cork board is going to turn out, which I'll be showing you in this video. So I'm also working on a mini course for the fall that will be out either before or after my collection, depending on where my creative energy is taking me. It is an exploration of spirituality and creativity, which I think is so valuable. So let's get into the process of creating this cork board.
Easy rider on the highway, station wagon going slow, windows.
Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is start gathering up some supplies and things that I think will go well with these mood boards. This is the studio one. This is a photo from a book that I have of Beta Human's interior design style. I really like this painting, and I love the mustard colors and like the whimsical quality of the painting with this like deep teal piece of furniture. I love those together. I'm loving this kind of pattern work, and especially with the burgundy. This is a piece of ceramic, and I'm really loving the lines and like the flower detail. So I think I might incorporate some of that in my painting. This is what I was talking about with the light coming in and like the shape of plants and the shadows on this like really nice green. This is just a really dark, moody, abstract painting, and I love these kind of warm colors, but it's like a darker version than I normally do, with like the pinks and yellows. This might even be an oil painting, which I might want to try at some point. Here we have more of those shadows with the mustard yellow. This is a really dark, moody, abstract painting with like plums, and this is just a really pretty home. Looks like a living room with like the colors that I'm going for. We have a nice moody color palette that I'm really enjoying down here. I might bring some jewelry into this painting collection. I'm not sure yet, but this is just to kind of remind me of that. It's a mustard colored sweater with like this nice kind of burgundy, like a lighter burgundy colored necklace, and a home here with some like warm earthy tones. This is kind of like the life version of that. I always put like a image of a woman in the middle because it's part vision board, part mood board, part inspiration. So I really love the color of her sweater and the way that she's kind of like adorned a book and a cup of coffee on like a rainy day in a coffee shop, which I definitely want to spend more time like getting out and getting to like a coffee shop. I mostly make coffee or tea at home, or I just like go through a drive-through. So I just like this to remind me of that. One of my favorite F. Scott Fitzgerald quote, "They slipped briskly into an intimacy from which they never recovered." And this is just like a beautiful, guiding, vibey quote for the fall. Here is a map and a woman with her feet on the dashboard and fall leaves outside, reminding me that I want to get out and explore more this fall. I tend to just kind of be a homebody, but this is reminding me, like, take the little day trip, go to Julian, go somewhere. I thought this woman's sweater, that the green is so striking, but she also has like really nice eyeshadow, and I used to really love to wear different colors of eyeshadow. She's got like green on there, and I just thought maybe I will try that out once again. This is baking cinnamon rolls, so I've been wanting to make them for a long time, and fall is such a great time to bake, so that's just a little hobby of mine, baking like maybe once a week. And this is a woman at like the beach, but like when it's moody out and like rainy or stormy, which I just really love the vibes of that. And I used to live by the beach, like really close, like 2 blocks away, and I just loved going to the beach in the winter, and this is reminding me of that. I love this like fall outfit. This almost looks like Taylor Swift, but I just love the classic like rust colored sweater, plaid skirt type of thing. It looks like she has like a bag or a camera, or she's like going to school, college or something like that. I just love that kind of feeling in the fall. Just having like a nice coffee in bed. I love slow mornings, having a cup of coffee or tea in the bed, just being so comfortable in the fall. And this is just a couple, and I just love the black and white, like moody romance quality of this photo. So yeah, that's my fall mood board for my life. So yeah, I've got these two, and I've got the cork board in front of me. I'm gonna look around my studio and see what I can find. Some collage papers, fabrics, things like that, and then I will share what I find, and then I'll share the final result of the board.
Open, you are basking.
So I'm just going through collage paper that I got on Amazon, which reminds me I have more inside with my journaling stuff that I might want to bring out here. So yeah, I'm just pulling out anything of interest, anything that stops me. If something like stops you and like makes you gasp and you're like, oh my gosh, like then that's a good sign, but not everything's gonna feel that way. It could just have like a quality like this. I like how sort of painterly the flowers are. I like how raw these are. This bouquet of flowers, I really like the color palette. I like this little sheet music that says Angel of Dreams, which I think is a really cool guiding phrase. This is like a little, I don't know, excerpt from a book or something. It says Observations, Influence of the Moon. This is bringing me back to like the dark academia thing. This is an old map. This celestial piece, kind of with the influence of the moon and the Angel of Dreams vibe. I'm kind of just like gathering things in piles. I also might go and get some of the stuff from my journaling kit because there's some cool stuff in there too.
Windows open, you are basking in the bluegrass.
So when you're choosing things for either like your actual mood board or like physical things, it's important to think about not only like the colors and whether things match or go together or whatever, but also the feeling behind the item. So maybe it doesn't match exactly, it carries like the feeling or the vibe that you want to bring into it. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking through little things that you have. Another thing is to not be afraid to play and throw out extra things and then narrow it down at the end. That's kind of what I do with my Pinterest board. I allow myself to pin as much as I want, and then I kind of narrow it down at the end. So just now I found these two papers, and I really like the texture on this one. This is reminding me to use more texture and pattern in some of my paintings. This would even be nice to like paint and then like stamp onto a painting. And then this just is like gold and textured, which also kind of reminds me of fall. So I'm just like putting these both out. And then at the end, when I'm putting it all together, I can edit. Don't be afraid to just like pull things out and then edit at the end. Okay, I found some good stuff. This yellow camera, red typewriter, this little mixtape with like vines coming off of it that says everything we said instead. I really like the color green that's on these blue flowers. A moon. This just says 26 cents and my birthday is on the 26th of August. This one is really good. I decide my vibe. Just a little like book corner with flowers. This says Dream On Dreamer. So sticking with that theme of Angel of Dreams. Book corner with some flowers growing out of it. So I'm happy with everything I found here. I'm trying not to overthink anything. This is like a quick process. I could sit and like debate every single piece, but like you gotta move quickly. If it does become overwhelming or you need a day, it's like, okay, I'll come back and like finish this tomorrow when I'm in the right headspace. But right now I am in that zone, so I wanna keep going and finish it. Okay, from my fabric and ribbons, I got this mustard colored vintage ribbon that I got in an estate sale. Also some olive green. I tied it into a bow and it has like gold on the other side. Time to put everything together. Okay, let's see the finished product.
It is easy now to see you with your hand out on the wind. I keep this folded at the corner so that I could not forget. Folded at the corner so that I could not forget. Pink azaleas by your driveway shade our leisurely goodbyes. In your terry cotton sweater with your arms sweeping the sky. It was then I had a knowing.
So I hope you enjoyed the process of seeing me create these mood boards for fall. I hope you found some inspiration of your own. And I'm really excited to jump into painting and to have this guide me throughout creating my collection. And I'm just excited for fall in general and all of the good things that are ahead this season. I thank you for being here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
You were waving.